You wake up and the first thing you see is a blue penguin calling you a goober. You could threaten to kill him, but keep in mind he has 1 million health and a rocket launcher, so if you try to, good luck. And even if you don't fight him, he just kicks you out of his bed as if you stole it from him. Don't forget he's hurling insults at you the entire time. Anyways, you get a letter from the John Shedletsky, which says he'd like to meet you at the Roblox HQ. On your journey to the HQ, you encounter many, strange things, like a drug deal. A sketchy figure in an alley. But don't worry, he doesn't sell drugs, I think. Instead, he sells you a bunch of cards that would be really helpful in a battle. Too bad he stands right next to the spawn, so you're completely broke. Also a bunch of dogs who you can completely understand, and a Watch Dogs reference. Upon entering the Roblox HQ, you are immediately harassed and attacked by tiny noobs with swords, and tiny noobs who can fly. Don't worry though, you have a bouncing ball that does damage for some reason. Oh right, in a fight you get a couple of options. You can either use your attacks, or look in your backpack for items, and use your strategies. You have SP, which is basically like stamina. Using an attack usually takes SP, and you can use defend inside the strategy tab to restore some, but at the cost of a turn. If you press the spacebar at the perfect time, you can have your attack do more damage, or you can dodge when an enemy comes at you. After brutally beating noobs for no reason, you see Shedletsky being bullied by the red and blue noob. Now you have to fight them, and OC is insanely good, but this is the only time you'll ever hear it. After barely beating them, they run away to their boss. Shedletsky tells you the noobs have kidnapped Buildermen. Don't even know how that's possible, but okay, whatever, go save them. Also, lore drop, someone's after the sword fight on the hide swords, which are basically like Game's Infinity Stones, and you have to get them back, even though this is your first day here and you have no relationship with anyone in this game. Congratulations! By pure circumstance, you are the chosen one, who must collect all these swords because Shedletsky said so. While trying to find Builderman, you get ambushed by the red and blue noob's boss, Noobador. You beat him, but don't worry, he's important for later, like a whole 2 demos from now. Anyways, you go into a cave full of ants that seriously have a problem with you. It might be that one time you kicked over an anthill in kindergarten. While traversing the caves, you get attacked by a supreme ant. Now here's where epic music you'll never hear again. After killing an oversized ant, you finally arrive at a snow biome area thing. Lore drop 2.0. You find out it used to be a sunny place, but the ice dagger froze it over and is currently at the Black Rock Castle. Also, if you go through the waterfall, you'll see a village inhabited by penguins, which means either Rotown was frozen over for a while or penguins just spawned in. After speaking with the mayor, you are told you have to find this guy named Jim because he got lost. And he also gives you your hunter adventure ID. After finally making it to the castle, you realize you need dynamite to blow up an entrance, so you go and find Jim, who coincidentally has dynamite. While looking for the dynamite and getting attacked by every breathing thing, you fight a banished knight and find out why he's really banished. He's trash at fighting. After single-handedly turning hungry wolves into an endangered species, you find Jim and use dynamite to free him from being trapped under a bunch of oddly colored rocks. After infiltrating Black Rock Castle, you find out none of the loyal knights here went through any training because they all suck. You also find out a lot of the knights here really don't care that you're literally committing treason. While looking for the king, you get attacked by a sentient statue, who also has a sick OST you'll never hear again. It can also move at superhuman speeds because of course it is. Everything in this game that isn't an NPC wants to kill you. A lot of dead knights, shrinking, and hungry knights later, you finally confront the cruel king. Lore drop 3.0. You learn he's been hearing a voice telling him that his kingdom will cease to exist, so he uses the ice dagger to try and prevent it. Cruel king isn't so cruel after all, but you still gotta kill him. Anyways, you successfully kill the king. No idea how that'll affect his kingdom since it has no leader, but that's not your problem. You got the ice dagger. Technically none of this is your problem, but Shedletsky said so. You then go back to the Roblox HQ and fight a crippled Shedletsky who shows you how to properly use the ice dagger. And you get to keep it, because apparently a random stranger who saved the kingdom on a whim is much more trustworthy to have it than Shedletsky. Now you have to go to Teratopulus and get the Venom shank. After politely stealing the penguin's plane, yes, that's what I'm going to call him, he doesn't deserve a name, you fly to Plainstown. After landing, you traverse the plains, killing everything in your path because hospitality doesn't exist in this world. Then you go into an anthill and find out my previous statement is instantly invalid since the ants here are pretty chill. Suddenly you are attacked by mosquitoes the entire time because they're annoying even in video games. After making it to Teratopulus, you hear someone scream for help, but ignore him because right in front of you is a shop where you can buy a rocket launcher. If you're not broke, that is. After buying the rocket launcher, if you could, you go help whoever was screaming, and it turns out to be Mayor Thaniel, who gets kidnapped by a gorilla and Griefer. Griefer might have some mental problems because he only speaks in caps lock and numbers. They leave behind a key to a Jeep, and you go to experience driving, but you aren't a good driver because you end up running over Bigfoot. And just to let you know, he will remember that. You're really good at making enemies in this place. Now the enemies you face here actually have a purpose for attacking you, unlike the random wild animals before. These guys are Griefer's soldiers or followers. Either way, they're allies with Griefer. These toxic soldier guy things also like to do a little dance before fighting you because they're just chill like that. While traversing the rainforest, you run into Griefer again, who can apparently just spawn red blocks into existence, which he never does again. After blowing up the red blocks because dynamite, you awaken the Komodo dragon, who for some reason has the absolute best OST in the game. It's such a good OST that it's used in the trailer for demo 2, but it's only a one-time thing, so enjoy it while you can. After defeating the Komodo dragon, you find out he's pretty chill and gives you rocket boots. Then Griefer is spotted yet again bullying Mayor Thaniel. Lore drop 4.0. Mayor Thaniel is actually Griefer's dad. Griefer also says the quote-unquote voice told him about the Venom shank and how to get it. He also reveals that the red and blue noobs were his mercenaries and he told them to jump Shedletsky. And now you're fighting Griefer for the first time. Griefer's not very smart or skilled, so defeating him is mostly easy, and afterward he runs away. And he's not fast either. You could have easily caught up to him, but decided, nah, I'll let him run away. To make things worse, he jumped over a bunch of tall plants, which apparently you can't do, even though you have rocket boots, which are literally an attack for burning things. While looking for something to get rid of the plants, you find an iron sword, but Bigfoot steals them and he has very good English. Me hate you, me take shiny, me go now. He then taunts you and runs away. I also just wanted to thank you guys for 20,000 subscribers. I did not know we were gonna hit 20k so soon, but if you are not subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button because I post stuff like this every 5 days anyway. Back to the video. See, this wouldn't have happened if you didn't run him over. There was a whole minigame about dodging obstacles, but he pops up and suddenly you just have to run him over. After finding Bigfoot and knocking him out of his tree, because you just really hate him, he recognizes you and wants to fight you, all because you ran him over. Congratulations, you've antagonized and then brutally beat a mostly harmless animal. But hey, you get a sword out of it, so who cares? The sword can also cut the plants, even though you have rocket boots. After cutting the plants, you get to a really big tree, but it's being guarded by a toucan because why not? And you have to solve his puzzle because he's here to just waste time. After wasting time on a gatekeeping bird, you enter the tree and you can talk to a bunch of quote-unquote tree people who have the grammar equivalent to a first grader. After finally getting to Griefer's hideout, you see him trying to force his dad to pull the sword. Then he does the smartest thing anyone in this game has ever done. Instead of making him pull the sword, he just puts his hands on the handle and forcefully pulls him up. Also, I should probably mention, Griefer's real name is Brad. Griefer isn't very strong, so you beat him again, and it makes him desperate. He stabs himself with the Venom shank and becomes a bubonic plant. See, this is why you don't listen to the voices in your head, Brad. Look what happened to Cruel King. Bubonic plant has the same health but is literally Griefer on steroids. After beating the Griefer Venom thing, you'd think you'd celebrate, right? Well, no, because he's now stuck like whatever monster he is, and since Mayor Thaniel is such a good father, he still cares for his son, even if he is the way he is now. Now you're stuck there watching a father mourn his son. Feel guilty yet? The sad OST in the background isn't helping either. Don't worry, it's not like your psychological traits are going to turn against you yet. Mayor Thaniel then tells you to take the Venom shank far away from him and away from anyone else it can cause harm to. Yeah, turns out all of these swords do is cause harm to really anyone around them. Not you though, you're built different. Now you're starting to notice this world isn't as positive as you thought. Don't worry though, it'll get worse. On the bright side, at least now you have killed a troubled king doing what he thought would save his people and beat a schizophrenic teenager half to death. Okay, maybe not so bright. After being thoroughly traumatized, you go see Shedletsky, who tells you about the next sword you must obtain. You have to get the Ghost Walker from a manor on the far side of town. Also, there's a slight chance it may or may not be haunted. To actually get to the manor, you have to board a train, which has a lot of weird people on it. After getting some sleep in the room, which you desperately needed, you wake up to the train being taken over by bandits. But this is also a good time to test how overpowered your Venom shank is. There's also an incredibly large amount of bandits taking over the train for absolutely no reason at all. When you get to the conductor's room, you see the conductor is Noobador and red and blue noobs are defending him. While you're probably the most confused you'll ever be, a bandit tries to sneak up on you, but this time the noobs join to help you. Allies through a common enemy or something like that. I don't know. Turns out the noobs aren't completely useless because they do a lot of damage. Then, because we're just the unluckiest people in the world, green and purple noob break through the glass and knock out Noobador. Lore drop 5.0. Purple and green sent the bandits. Noobador is actually red and blue noob's uncle, and purple and green are the parents, abusive ones too. Now we're dragged into this family brawl because we were just standing there. Best OST of this demo, by the way. After helping kids fight their parents, Noobador gets up and officially knocks out purple and green. Turns out Nuidor, red and blue aren't so bad after all. After the train gets to Spooksville, we have to traverse the cemetery. Before you can even get inside, red and blue agree to join your side. So now you have to look over these kids in battle and hope they don't die. Great, more responsibilities. Some of the zombies you fight look eerily similar to the normal versions you fought earlier in the game, so this might be personal. Small detail, but the pumpkins you talk to here sound exactly like Shaq from that one Shack-O-Lantern video. Let's do a side-by-side comparison for what I mean. Either that or your character's going crazy. After putting zombies back to sleep, you make it to Telemon's manor, and for some reason there are a lot of people here. How did they get past the zombies? You can talk to some of the retired Blackrock guards who say Cruel King wasn't a bad person and now his kingdom is crumbling without him. So now you feel even more guilty. Talking to the people here, you realize there's definitely something wrong with you, but that's not going to be fully revealed right now. After talking to all the people there, you follow the butler because he's hiding something. Turns out the rumor of the manor being haunted was true. While looking through the haunted part of the castle, you find a turkey in a Halloween themed demo and you kill it too. You also find a haunted kitchen and the haunted wizard says he'll only tell you where the ghost walker is if you help him prepare a meal for the residents. To prepare the meal though, you have to go around the rooms of the haunted manor looking for the ingredients. Turns out the last ingredient is a turkey, which you already killed, so good job, you didn't kill it for nothing. After getting all the ingredients, the wizard gives you a ghost potion and you have to go back to where you killed the turkey. He also tells you to not under any circumstances touch the ghost walker because it will kill anyone not pure of heart. After you use the ghost potion to no-clip through the fence, you see there is a puzzle you need to complete in order to open the entrance. It's pretty simple. You just put the statues in the right place. When you open the entrance, you see an item called the Hyper Ball, but before you can go get it, Slasher aka Johnson takes it from you. Now you have to fight the current final boss. After defeating Slasher, you obtain the Hyper Ball and now you're thinking, for someone advertised as the main villain, he was pretty easy. You go into another part of the catacombs and think you've hit a dead end until you remember you have the Hyper Ball now, so you can blank through the yellow planks blocking your path. After breaking through, you finally make it to the Ghost Walker. You then decide, because you like doing things the hard way, to completely ignore the wizard's warnings and touch the Ghost Walker. Congratulations, you're dead. And you wake up to Bilderman speaking to you. He tells you that he's been stuck inside the sword for a long time because he's also an idiot. The only way to get out is to purify your soul and come to terms with your negative traits. That will allow both you and Bilderman to escape. But if he was in the sword for so long and knew how to get out, why didn't he try to purify his own soul? Now you have to traverse the path out of here because you have some serious issues. After walking for like 20 seconds, you have to give in to avarice. Now you are wandering through your own mind. Remember, if you just listen to the wizard, this wouldn't be a problem. Oh, and yes, there are enemies in here too. Not even your own mind likes you. There's also weird mannequins that tell you how greedy you are, but in a much harsher way. After fighting some enemies, you fall into a cavern with yellow hands. You have to use the pointed fingers to guide you through the maze, while also using your sword to fend off random hands coming from the shadows to attack you. That's right, you're in a horror game now. When you do manage to get to the end of the cavern, you see a bunch of ticks lying on the floor, and Bilderman tells you to take it because he's an idiot and doesn't see it's an obvious trap. Trying to pick up the ticks causes Greed to show up and fight you. Remember when I said your psychological traits wouldn't turn against you? Well, now they are. After killing Greed, you go and give into isolation. Now you're traversing your mind again, but this time instead of mannequins, they're ducks, and they bully you for being isolated. Then you fall into another cavern, but this time it's blue. To get past this, you just go north if you see the ocean, go east if you see the sun, go south if you see the sky, and go west if you see the moon. Pretty simple. Now you have to face and kill Solitude. After killing Solitude, you give in to your fears, which means you have to quite literally face your fears. After killing Fear, you think you've finally beaten all of your negative traits. However, you still feel ill, and Bilderman turns out to actually be hatred. You wake back up and see everything's corrupted. Now you give in to wrath. Even the enemies are now all themed around hatred. From this point, you're really starting to regret not listening to the wizard. But also, what the heck kind of problems were you dealing with that caused it to be this bad? After making it through your clearly very disturbed mind, you get to a red heart. Now you have to face and kill your inner hatred. After beating the absolute hardest boss in the game, you go to the real world and wake up. Also while hearing the most epic and perfect OST. Congratulations again, you purified your soul. Oh, and you got the Ghost Walker too.